Hey everyone, welcome back to Snoo's Corner. Today we've got a story that's going to hit close home to a lot of us. It's about love, trust, and what happens when they're put to the test. Join us as we step into Alex's life, where a marriage that seemed rock solid faces a challenge that no one saw coming. My wife's double life, uncovered by a single text. Hey Reddit, I'm Alex, 32-year-old male. And I've been lurking here for a while, but after one went down, I gotta get this off my chest. Sarah, 29-year-old female, my wife, and I have been together since those high school days where everything seemed forever. We were that couple everyone bet on to last, and for over a decade, we were living up to that hype. We tied the knot in our early 20s, had a couple of dogs instead of kids, and life was cruising on autopilot. I'm the tech geek, a coder for a startup, and she's been killing it as a paralegal. We were all about the dink, dual income, no kids life, planning trips over diaper changes. But here's where it gets messy. Sarah's been swamped with work, or so I thought, burning the midnight oil and glued to her phone like it's her lifeline. It's the Henderson case, she'd say, brushing off my attempts to talk. But this one evening, she's in the shower and her phone's blowing up on the counter with a "Hey you," kissy face from some number. Now I'm not the Snoopy type, but something felt off. I tapped in, and holy hell, it's like I stumbled into an alternate universe. Texts that would make a romance novelist blush, selfies that were definitely not meant for me, and plans to hook up that were timed with my business trips. I'm just sitting there, feeling like a chump, staring at these texts that paint a picture of Sarah I don't even recognize. The world I knew just stopped making sense. There were dates and times, and my mind was piecing together the memories of my own whereabouts on those days. Each message was a punch in the gut, a betrayal of the vows we made. I remember thinking, this can't be my Sarah, not my high school sweetheart, not the woman I've loved for over half my life. But denial's a strong drug. I put the phone back, dried my face, and acted like nothing happened. I needed time to think, to plan, to figure out who the hell I was married to. The next few days were a blur. I was sharing a bed with a stranger, going through the motions of a life that felt like a lie. I started to notice things I'd been blind to before. How she'd angle her phone away from me, her new habit of working late because of the Henderson case, and how she started wearing perfume to bed, something she never did before. One night, she said she had to work late again, and I just nodded. But once she left, I couldn't stay put. I had to know, so I followed her. It felt pathetic, but I had to see for myself. And there it was, the nail in the coffin of our marriage. I watched as she met up with Mr. Hey You in a dimly lit parking lot, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm, and then they kissed. It wasn't a peck, it was the kind of kiss you remember years later. I drove home in a daze. When she got back, she started with her usual spiel about the case dragging on. I just nodded. I was past anger, past sadness. I was in that cold place where you decide what comes next. The confrontation was inevitable. I couldn't live in a facade pretending that my marriage wasn't crumbling before my eyes. So I waited for the weekend when I knew we'd both be home and the mask of the work week wouldn't be there to hide behind. Saturday morning, I made us coffee, the way I always did, with 2 sugars in hers, just the way she liked it. We sat at the kitchen table, the morning light casting a too bright sheen over everything. It felt surreal, this domestic scene, knowing it was about to shatter. I asked her how the Henderson case was going, and she launched into a detail account. That's when I slid the printed screenshots across the table to her. Her face went white, her voice faltered, and for a moment, there was absolute silence. The conversation that followed was a mess of tears, accusations, and confessions. She said it started as a work thing, that he understood the pressure she was under, that one thing led to another. The cliches piled up until they were almost laughable. Almost. She begged for forgiveness, said it was a mistake, that she'd end it. But trust, once broken, isn't something you can just glue back together. I told her I needed time, that I couldn't decide our future in the heat of the moment. The following weeks were a blur of legal consultations, moving out, and dividing up a life that we'd built together. It was mechanical, the way we sorted through our belongings, assigning memories a place in boxes, deciding who got the coffee maker, who took the photo albums. A month had passed since the day I decided to move out. The silence of my new apartment was deafening, a stark contrast to the life I had known. I kept myself busy, throwing myself into work and hitting the gym with a fervor I hadn't known I possessed. It was during one of those late night gym sessions that I got a text from her. She wanted to meet, to talk. Part of me, the part that's still nursing a broken heart, wanted to ignore it, to move on. But another part, perhaps the part that still wore the wedding band out of habit, wanted closure. We met at a small cafe, neutral ground. She looked different. Not the appearance, but the aura around her. She was nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup, avoiding eye contact. She told me she had ended things with him, that it was a mistake, that she was seeking therapy to understand why she did what she did. She wanted to try again, to rebuild. I listened, I really did. But as she spoke, all I could see were those messages, the lies, and the betrayal. I told her I wished her the best, but for me, it was over. There was no anger in my voice, just a tired resignation. The OP story is a stark reminder of the fragility of trust in a relationship. It's a tale that resonates with the pain of discovery, the sting of betrayal, and the slow, often lonely, journey towards healing. His experience peels back the curtain on a truth many of us hope never to face, that sometimes the person we share our bed with can become the most profound stranger in our lives. As he navigates the aftermath of his wife's infidelity, we're reminded that the road to recovery isn't just about moving on, it's about moving forward with the pieces, not to restore the old picture, but to create something new. For Alex and for anyone who's been in his shoes, the path isn't easy. It's littered with the debris of broken dreams and what-ifs, but it's also lined with the possibility of self-discovery and the hope of a future unburdened by the weight of the past. Update 1. It's been 6 months now. 6 months since my world turned upside down. I found a new rhythm to life, a new normal. I've started to enjoy the little things again, like the quiet of the morning, the first sip of coffee, the peace of being alone with my thoughts. I've started dating. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and casual dinners. It's nice, the feeling of getting to know someone new, the excitement of a first kiss that's not clouded by the past. And as for her, I heard it through the grapevine that she's moved in with someone new, a different coworker. It stung, sure, but less than I thought it would. I've come to realize that some people are chapters in our lives, not the whole story. The OP's story is a raw look at the healing process. It's about finding the strength to rebuild when life takes an unexpected turn. His journey reminds us that it's okay to start over, to find joy in new beginnings, and to appreciate the quiet moments of self-discovery. Thanks for tuning in today. Have you ever faced a moment that reshaped your life? And how did you find the strength to move forward? Share your stories in the comments below. We'll see you next time on Snoo's Corner.